Hello and welcome to another episode of the BizCom Show. I'm Daniel Mathers and my guest today is Brad Dorahy. He's the founder and executive director of CISaustralia. Brad, thanks very much for being part of the podcast.
My pleasure, Daniel. My pleasure.
So we've got some questions for you. First question is, what did you study at university?
At the University of Newcastle, I studied a Bachelor of Social Science with a major, or I wasn't even sure it was called major, but a focus in marketing and tourism at the time, back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. And you're a Newcastle local?
Well, not originally. I actually grew up in my early days around Port Macquarie, Warhope, and like most kids going through school, I had to make a decision that, leave the sort of the local country area and go to university. At the time, I think Newcastle was pretty engaged with my high school down at Warhope and Port Macquarie, and so it was a bit of an obvious choice, a nice stepping stone instead of going all the way to Sydney. Newcastle offered a nice balance between a step up, a good supportive university, and I really enjoyed it there. Actually, really enjoyed my time at Newcastle, and I ended up living there for a good 10 years.
Oh, cool. And after you finished uni, is that when you started your business?
No, actually, I ended up sort of while I was at university, and this is something having learned from experience that I really encourage students to do. Is I started getting engaged with international students while I was at university. Completely by accident. It was not planned or anything like that. But I ended up being on the Hunter Committee for Overseas Students at the time, which was a voluntary organisation that received government money to support international students. So I ended up doing a whole range of events, activities, day trips to help international students at Newcastle better assimilate into the local culture. Which was great fun at the time, met a lot of people, learned a lot about different cultures and places, and that sort of really whet my appetite for travel and actually getting into the international education industry. From there, that led to a cultural scholarship from the university, which then led to working for the international office on two different occasions at the University of Newcastle. And that experience in study abroad, exchange, student support at the University of Newcastle then led to an opportunity in the US, where I worked for a number of years for a study abroad organisation in the US, sending American students to Australia and New Zealand, which was just one of the most fantastic experiences of my life. Travelled around the whole of the US, visited every US state, most of them several times, as a sort of a sales representative or marketing representative. Learned a lot about the education system over there and the culture. And just had just a wonderful experience. And that really set my career up when I returned to work for Bond University for 5 years, Griffith and Navitas for another 8 years, and then to a long-winded answer to your question, then I started my own business, CISaustralia, established that in 2013.
Okay. And what exactly does CISaustralia do?
So our focus is sending Australian university students on niche, short-term study, intern and volunteer programs as part of their degree in Australia. So they all come back, or 98+% all come back for academic credit from the experience in terms of their experience abroad. But that's what we do. We send Australian students overseas for short-term study, intern and volunteer programs.
Oh, cool. And while you were at university, did you do some kind of program like that?
I did, Daniel, and that's the great shame of it. That back at that period of time, there certainly wasn't the awareness or the culture of going abroad for an internship or for a study program. Exchanges were around, but they were very hard to get information about. There wasn't the promotion or necessarily the culture that there is today. There certainly wasn't the government support or the institutional support. That has significantly shifted in the last 3 to 5 years, and that now there is exceptional government support, particularly in terms of funding. Any student that goes abroad now who's an Australian Australian citizen, with a few parameters, but very limited parameters, can get up to $7,500 as OS help to study, volunteer, and intern abroad. So there's some incredible support, financial and otherwise, from the government. Institutions are increasingly building in outbound mobility and these types of experiences they're embedding them into the degree program, and they're embedding it into the strategy of the university.
Yeah.
So I actually did a lot of my study abroad after I graduated and as sort of a postgraduate experience. So I was lucky enough to do a sort of a postgraduate program at Harvard University in the US and then in Christchurch in New Zealand. And they were my two sort of more aligned to postgraduate short-term study experiences. And then with CISaustralia, I've also done a number of volunteering experiences in Africa, in the Philippines, and in South America as well. So that's been really rewarding and also helped me really understand the culture of experiential service learning and volunteering abroad as well.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you a bit more about. Did you find that through your experiences overseas, did you learn any skills or sort of soft skills that helped you in managing your business?
I would say absolutely. Without doubt, these are the soft skills that are sometimes forgotten or not talked about, and there's so many of them that people we don't do a good enough job in the industry training students about things like the skills that they will gain that will be so important for their resume and so important in getting an interview and ultimately getting a job. And the sorts of things I'm talking about are adaptability, independence, self-confidence, leadership, teamwork skills, communication, building a global network, just having great life experiences to draw on. Of course, really fantastic things like language skills, cultural awareness and sensitivity, understanding complex global issues, motivation in all aspects of life, open-mindedness. All these things are skills that, you don't get necessarily from, attending your classes day to day. These are really practical, hands-on skills that can be brought into an interview situation that are ultimately going to get students jobs.
Yeah. And I think one of the things students consider when they're thinking about going overseas are it might be a bit daunting to them to think of going over to a foreign country by themselves. But do you find that that experience pushes you outside of your comfort zone, and through dealing with situations outside of your comfort zone, does that help you in managing business?
Well, I think anything that pushes you outside of your comfort zone is a learning experience. Be it going to a new city in Australia, being it taking on a new task at work, being it taking on an assignment at university, be it meeting new people. Any experience that pushes you to do something you've not done before is a good experience.
Yeah.
In the case of going overseas, I think, for a number of students, particularly those who haven't gone abroad before, it does push them and it does help them grow, absolutely, without doubt. And I think that's really important. The key for us, particularly in establishing CISaustralia, is that we prepare students, we think, as well as we possibly can, with the counselling and the staff here that are well-trained, well-travelled, well-educated. We have, we walk every student through the process. It's a very supportive environment that we provide here. We provide a very detailed pre-departure guide, which students can take with them, before they go. Our website is incredibly comprehensive, so they can read about every aspect of the program before they leave. Then, what's critical for us, apart from the pre-departure and orientation process when they get there, is that we have a staff person on site in every location, so that that feeling of being a little bit, like a fish out of water, like that sort of culture shock feeling that some students do go through. We've got staff on the ground to help them understand that, to help support them and guide them through that process.
Yeah. I know I did a semester abroad last year to Hong Kong, and there's...
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience, and any students that are considering it, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I take my hat off to you, Daniel. You're one of about 16% of all Australian students going on outbound mobility at the moment as part of their degree. And that's a pretty decent number, actually, globally. That number is very competitive. It's more students proportionally than the US send out.
Yeah.
And it's more students proportionally than a lot of countries, than most countries in the world are sending out on mobility experiences. So, my mission in life is to, based on my own personal experiences and what I see every day, how it changes students. Literally changes their life by them going on these types of experiences. I want to see that number just continue to grow year on year.
Yeah. What about considering places to go? Where would you recommend?
That's a really personal decision, and we have 72 programs in 30 odd countries, and so I think it would be unwise for me to sit down and sort of say blanket to all students, this is where you should go. Our process is that it's really about the individual. So we'll sit down, and the staff here will sit down, and we'll walk a student through our usual counselling process, which we've fine-tuned and finessed over years now. We'll talk to them about what they're looking for, their academic program, what they're comfortable with. There's certain countries which some students are going to be more comfortable than others. Some students are going to be really pushed by, say, going to Nepal, whereas other students are really looking for that extra challenge because perhaps they've been overseas a number of times. So through our counselling process, that's where we'll really help students, decide which is the best fit for them from a cultural perspective, from an academic perspective, and from a personal perspective.
Okay. And what kind of experiences can students expect while they're abroad in terms of what would they be doing while they're volunteering as opposed to interning, as opposed to studying?
Yeah, three very different experiences, and a really good question, Daniel. I mean, the study experience is fairly traditional in that students can expect something similar to what they might have experienced at University of Newcastle, and that we'll house them and put them in maybe university dormitories or apartments. They'll go to traditional classes every day over a typical short course lasts between 3 and 6 weeks, they'll get to mix and network and undertake various activities in a very traditional study environment in another country. The internships are something completely different. So this is a professional, unpaid workplace environment where students will be welcomed, they'll get an orientation, they'll have a supervisor, but it's very much a professional experience in a workplace. And so that's something quite different than studying, obviously. And then we have the experiential service learning, also known as volunteering, where students attend our programs, and students can see them on our website, where they might go and do an environmental science program with sea turtles in Costa Rica, or they might go to do a dolphin research project, is another example, in Zanzibar, or they might do the Big Five in South Africa, or they might do community development in Nepal or the Philippines or Zambia. There's just so much out there for students to do.
Cool. And one final question is, how can students get more information?
Sure. Look, I think the number one starting place is if you're interested, particularly in the CIS website, is our website. It's CIS program. You go to our website, and that's www.CISaustralia.com.au, and they can learn about every single one of our programs. We have a lot of tabs on health and safety, information for parents, our university partners. Something that's really important is the benefit of mobility tab down the bottom of the menu bar. Also, industry research. We invest a lot of time into knowing what's going on in terms of the benefits of mobility and the research that backs that. So spend a bit of time on our website and you'll learn a lot of information about mobility, going abroad, and also specific programs. The other place to go to is definitely your University International Office. Particularly at the University of Newcastle, you've got some great staff there, Adam, El-Hengi, and a range of other people that are well versed in advising students on not only CIS programs, but the range of programs they might be looking at.
Okay. Well, great. Brad, thank you very much for being part of the podcast. Really appreciate you coming on.
Daniel, thank you, mate. it's really nice to see someone who has a passion about mobility like myself.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, Brad. Cheers.